take a moment and just allow your eyes to close for a moment. Allow yourself to arrive. Our bodies may have reached here after traveling long distances. But what about our awareness? What about our attention? What about our presence? Allow yourself to fully arrive to this very moment. Bring all your awareness right here, right now. You'll notice probably that the awareness jumps and flickers, sounds or smells, sensations, thoughts. But don't worry about that. Just keep drawing it back lovingly and gently, back to this moment, this breath. Right here, right now. Allow that awareness to just merge into your breath as it flows in and flows out. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level in Namaste, and gently rub the palms of your hands against each other. And press the palms of those hands into your closed eyes. Slowly lower the hands and open the eyes. Welcome to Satsang. I'll announce this again at the end, but this will be our last Satsang for the next week, because we have our International Yoga Festival and so many wonderful evening activities and programs during the week. We will start satsang back up again on March 16th. So for those of you in the festival, we'll be gathering anyway every day for so many different things. Those of you not in the festival, you're welcome, of course, to join us for the evening arti and music, and then we'll gather for satsang again starting on the 16th. So In satsang, we usually start with a question that comes in from our family, from all around the world, who can't be here physically, but they join in online, send in questions. Since they're not fortunate enough to actually be here, we, out of love, start with a question from them, and then we open it up to any questions that anyone here has. There's a microphone in the center of the room, so don't be shy. I always remind people, but it bears repeating, there's no such thing as a wrong question or a silly question. If it's important to you, and it's something that feels like if you had the answer to this, you would be able to take a step closer to your freedom, to your truth, it's absolutely the right question then. But we start again with one that's come in advance. Kids are really feeling lost with everything that is going on in this fast-paced world. What can we do to help our children? And what's the best way to raise them? Asked by our sister Nikita. So the good news about kids compared to adults is their brains are still changing. I mean, all of our brains are changing, but theirs are changing really fast as they're developing. And so whatever we do actually has a huge impact. Now, world is fast-paced, yes. The good news and the bad news is kids' brains will adapt to it. Hand a kid a Game Boy or a phone and fast-paced video games that, make us dizzy to look at. That kid, few days, has mastered the game, and their brains have actually changed accordingly. Now that's wonderful from a perspective of adaptation and malleability. Problem comes when they walk into school and you've got one teacher, one blackboard, one math equation. Or they're sitting at the dinner table with you, maybe a sibling. And it's just them and the broccoli, the potatoes, maybe some tofu, hopefully something vegetarian. But the point is, there's nothing coming at them at a super high speed that requires them to swerve or blast it. It's just the speed of normal life. And the problem is, then these kids cannot pay attention. And this is where we're getting the spike in ADD and ADHD in kids. Because their brains are adapting to video games, to situations where, for example, so I'm going to be 55 next week, so I'm kind of old, but not like ancient. And when I was growing up, we certainly had TVs. Again, I'm not that old. But on the TV, it was just one thing. And if you wanted to watch something different, you had to change the channel, then remotes came. But one TV screen, one thing. Then this program came where you could start watching two things at once. One on the main screen and one in like a little corner on the top of the screen. And then programs started running scrolls around the bottoms of the screens. Then devices appeared, in which you could be watching something, or three things simultaneously, and on your device. When I first moved to India, it was very interesting. I moved to India 30 years ago. I would go back to America, And I'd walk into homes where a TV was on, even just a normal TV. And I couldn't follow. Now, English is my native language. It wasn't like I lost it in India. But what I discovered was that the speed at which people speak in commercials, because they're paying a lot of money for 15 seconds, they've got to speak really, really, really fast, was so fast that my brain had basically de-adapted to being able to understand it. 6 months, 8 months, 9 months away from America, and I could not for the life of me understand an English TV commercial because it was too fast. That's how quickly even the non-young children's brains change. So what's happening today, and the question was about kids, but we should all be aware it is happening to all of us because the science of neurology has done a full 180 since I was studying it 35 years ago when they told us that after we were late adolescents and our brains had formed, we couldn't change it anymore. Now we know all about neuroplasticity. We know that yoga changes your brain, meditation changes your brain, love changes your brain. Walking barefoot changes your brain. The way we live changes our brain. It just happens faster in kids. But when we put ourselves in situations in which we have to respond to things that are very fast, lots at once, eventually our brains will do it. Kids will do it faster. Eventually we will get there. But we then end up in a situation where they can't pay attention in school. The medicine that is given for ADD and ADHD, it's speed, which is counterintuitive because we're like, these kids are too hyper, somebody calm them down. And you take them to a doctor and the prescription they get is for speed. Ritalin and all the drugs like it are speed. Because actually what's going on is the kids can't pay attention because they're bored. It's not happening fast enough for them because their brains need more stimulus. I've actually had a theory for many years. I've never tested it, but I've had a theory that if at the dinner table or while you were trying to have a conversation with your kid or in school, if we literally hurled like Nerf balls at their head simultaneously, that they had to duck or fight or hit, they'd actually be able to pay better attention. It seems, again, counterintuitive. It seems like if we remove the distractions and we just speak to them, they'll pay attention. But their brains have been changed and kind of warped in the other direction. So what it does is it creates an addiction to that degree of stimulus. Now, of course, what happens when we've got that degree of stimuli is our bodies are flooded with cortisol. Stress responses are all over the place. Our nervous systems are on overdrive. Okay, solutions. Obviously, to the extent possible, get the device out of their hands as many hours a day as you can. Make rules. Parents these days, I say this to you with all of the love in the world, but you've got to get stricter and stronger. So many parents say to me, oh, but then my kids are going to be angry, they're going to hate me, they're going to yell at me. It's like, well, yeah, of course. Kids have always yelled at their parents. When I was growing up, it was around curfew, what time I had to come in, what time I had to get off the telephone, not a mobile, but a regular phone. We had those. Regular phone with my friends. As long as there have been parents and kids, there have been parents saying, come in for dinner, whether they're shouting out from a window to the kids playing outside. Come in for dinner and the kids are yelling, no, just another inning, just another 10 minutes. whether it's parents saying you have to be home at 10 or you're grounded, whatever rules we impose, the kids always say, it's not fair, I hate you, but so-and-so is allowed to do such and such. You're the worst mother ever. Get used to it. It's the nature of parenting. They'll get over it. They'll thank you later, actually. But we have to really, really be strict about it. The other thing to do, get your kids in nature. Nature is the best reset. These days in America, every time I go back, I'm amazed by the gadgets that people are buying. And I was at someone's home last trip to America, and they had all of these interesting, like, pads and belts and this. I'm like, what is all of that? And he said, oh, they're grounding. So what do you mean? He says, oh, you just lie on the mat and you plug it in and it grounds you. And I was like the dirt? Like, yeah, sure, you could buy a $200 mat, or you could take off your shoes and socks and go walk barefoot in the dirt, or in the sand, or in water, or the grass. And they have grounding belts, and I was like, oh, so like if you hug a tree. Nature is the best to quite literally reset our nervous system. The electrical impulses, the frequency at which we are quite literally vibrating, gets reset in nature. So be in nature, let your kids in nature. Yes, it's okay if they eat dirt. It's actually good for their immunities. We've become so over careful around antibacterial this, antibacterial that, and we've got now generations of kids with all kinds of allergies and autoimmune issues. Kids are meant to eat dirt. They're meant to play with worms. They're meant to play with lizards. They're meant to, put their toes in their mouth. It's actually part of the way that we've been created. So bring them into nature. Lastly, the last part of the question said, what's the best way of raising the kids? Aside from this on the neuroelectrical chemical basis, to me the most important thing is to make sure your children know that their worthiness of love, of occupying their place on planet Earth, has nothing to do with what they do and everything to do with who they are. One of the mistakes that we make as parents, and we make it very well-meaning, we make it just in an effort to discipline or encourage, is we say things to kids like, oh, you cleaned up your room, you are such a good boy. Your room is a mess, you're a bad girl, or lazy girl, or messy girl. We bring home a report card with good marks. And we get, oh, come and give mama a big hug and kiss, and we give hugs and kisses. We sit them on our laps, we give cookies or treats or whatever. They bring home a bad report card. And even if we're conscious enough, yogic enough, not to hit, not to spank, not to insult them, do we open our arms and hug them? Oh, you failed math. Come here, give me a big hug and kiss. What we teach them is, number one, you are responsible for my emotional state. I am disappointed in you. You failed math. Wait till your father gets home. He's going to be so angry. Mom's going to be so angry. As though somehow the kid is responsible for our emotional well-being. No. And as though somehow their clean room or good report card or kicking the winning goal are the things that make them worthy of love. And a messy room or a failing grade or being the one through whose legs the missing goal got kicked renders them not worthy of that love. This is, to me, the most damaging, detrimental, and easily prevented problem that we create for our kids. It just requires us to be conscious because we don't mean it. No parent actually means that their child who failed math is unworthy of love. But that's the message that we convey. And so we are raising generations of workaholics, people pleasers, stressed out, anxious youth and then adults who feel like I'm not quite good enough. If I just push myself a little more, then I'll be worthy of love. So by all means, discipline. By all means, ground them, prevent them from going to parties, take away their phones, take away privileges. Absolutely. Do whatever you need to do to get them to study, to discipline them. I'm not talking about anarchy. Just don't use love. They deserve the hug, regardless of the grade. They deserve to know that they are a good boy, a good girl, even if the room is messy. Room is messy, so you say, okay, well, we're not going to go clothes shopping because it's very clear to me that you don't respect the ones I've already bought you. So we're just going to cancel Saturday's clothes shopping trip. But I still love you, and I'm going to hug you while I say that. You are worthy of love. You're worthy of your place on planet Earth. But there are consequences of actions, and if you don't take care of what we've already bought you, then all right, when you learn to take care of things, we'll buy you more. Seems reasonable. And we're not messing up our children's psychology based on that. They're learning important life lessons. Actions have consequences. But regardless of the actions, regardless of the consequences, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of my place in planet Earth. So I think that would be, if I had to choose one of the best and most important things when we raise kids. And by the way, as we re-raise ourselves for the adults in the room, whether you have kids or don't have kids, if you were parented in a way that made you feel like you've got to work to be worthy of love, this is when we get to reparent ourselves. Because we get to stop speaking to ourselves in those same voices. Because we do it not only to our kids, we do it to ourselves. Oh, I can't believe I did that. I am worthless. I'm stupid. I'm lazy. I'm irresponsible. I'll never be anything. Everybody hates me. Right? How frequently do we say things like that to ourselves? So we get to reteach ourselves. It's what our spiritual practice gives us. So, yeah, beautiful question. Other questions? Yes. Yeah, come. And then you.
Extend my reverent greetings.
Sure. Just share your name and where you're from.
My name is Anshuman. I'm from Jaipur.
Wonderful.
Could you run us through your day? Like what time you wake up and how much is your screen time? Like the major highlights of the day. Intention is not to be nosy, but to draw an inspiration.
Sure.
Thank you.
Of course. So my day begins very, very early. long prior to the sunrise, I purposely try actually not to say, I'm up at 4, I'm up at 4:15, because when we start, it's important to commit to things that we can actually do and to feel great about them. So if you're sleeping till 9 a.m. every day, don't decide that from tomorrow you're going to get up at 4. Because then all that happens is you hit the snooze button, you feel miserable, and then you start telling yourself a story about how you're a failure. And you can't do this spiritual thing either. And you don't fulfill your commitments. If you sleep till 9, get up at 8. Make a commitment. I'm going to start getting up at 8. Next month, get up at 7. Next month, get up at 6. Bite off pieces that are digestible for you in a way that you actually can sustain it, so that not only do you benefit from an early rise, but you benefit from a brain shift that says, I do what I say I'm going to do. I follow through with my commitments. But more important than the time, it is important, by the way, to make sure that it's pre-sunrise. So there's a lot that we know about the impact neurologically, again, on the body of watching the sunrise. You don't have to necessarily live on a beach or live on a mountain, but even just through your window, watching it get light. If you've got a patio, a balcony, a rooftop, that you can actually be present and watch the sunrise, it's extraordinarily powerful, spiritually and neurologically, and immunologically as well. But again, more important than that, first thing, gratitude practice. I have trained myself over the years, and it's taken a long time, such that the very first words that my mind speaks the moment I realize I'm awake, in that, oh, here I am, are thank you. Just thank you. And I tend to start with exactly the same thing every day. Because, you're still kind of asleep before the creative juices really start flowing. And it's, thank you. And I literally, my arms over my body, it's like, thank you for this amazing, incredible body. And we're all here. Like, how amazing is that? It's all still here. It's healthy, it's alive, it's functional. Thank you. And then as you start to get a little bit more coherent with the morning, thank you that here I am still free. Free to live how I want, worship how I want, love how I want, practice how I want. And then as you start to rise, thank you. Thank you that my legs work, that I get to walk into a bathroom where I turn on a tap and water comes out of it. Clean water. And then I get to go into a home in which there's food in a cupboard or on a table or in a fridge. Thank you. Thank you for the fact that I live in this world in community. People I love, people who love me, trees I love, trees that I know love me. This incredible creation. Thank you. And then, the usual non-interesting things, shower, teeth brush, etc., etc. Then, I sit for my seated practice, which for me is pranayam, and then japa, and then meditation. And you don't have to do them in that order, by the way. It's just, for me, I find that's the order that's very conducive to work with my mind. Pranayam really, really brings the mind into one place. My practice of mantra chanting then takes it from concentration into more of a devotional, connected experience with the divine. And the meditation then tends to flow very beautifully. And then, seva for the day. Whatever the day requires, whatever opportunity I have in whatever way to be of service. In the evening, of course, our sacred, and we gather at 8:30. This is worth mentioning. We gather 8:30 every morning normally, but 7:30 during Yoga Festival. Every morning right here for our sacred fire ceremony, our yajna ceremony. And I very strongly suggest everyone, at least once, I realize it's your tea, coffee time, but at least once during the week, join us. It's 20 minutes, 25 minutes. You'll be done before the 8 a.m. classes start. It's a super powerful ritual, super powerful ceremony. So yajna, seva, arti, satsang, evening practice. At some point during the day that varies day to day, varies seasonally, I also have a yogasana practice, an exercise practice. But when I fit that into my day tends to vary with the day and the weather and the season and whatnot. But I try to get that in most days as well. Yeah. That's the pretty much standard day if I'm here. Changing, of course, with travel. But the morning and the evening is really, really, really critical. They're the charging time for the rest of the day. Yes, beautiful. Yeah.
My name is Kriton, and I'm from Athens, Greece. What I want to say is that I will be 63 on May, and I'm feeling like I lost the meaning recently, or maybe the being. I don't know. I don't even know what the question will be, because I'm single since like 3 years ago. I've never had a family, and but I did have partners. But now I don't, and I work as a psychologist, psychotherapist, and I'm good. I mean, my patients are satisfied with me, but it seems I can help everybody else, but not myself in this moment. So, I don't know, some way of finding the way, I don't know, something like that.
What are you looking to help yourself with?
What do I look?
What are you looking to help yourself do? You said I can help everyone, but not able to help myself in this. What would you love if you could help yourself in?
To find a way to be satisfied with my life.
Okay. So, we are being programmed. And I don't use that word lightly. I am not a conspiracy theorist, and I don't use the word lightly. But we are being programmed for dissatisfaction. Because dissatisfaction makes us great consumers. The more unsatisfied I am with my life, the more likely I am to click here and buy now. Whether it's an item, some new clothes, a new phone, a new car, whether it's a vacation, whether it's a course, whether it's a training program. The more dissatisfied I am, the better customer I am. And the more dissatisfied I am, the more inclined I will be to want to numb my own self. Maybe with alcohol, maybe with drugs, maybe with food, but very likely by scrolling on social media. And those moments I am spending scrolling is money in somebody's pocket. And so if you are feeling dissatisfied with life, we have to realize, and I'll come to other reasons in a moment, but it's important to realize that we are now at an epidemic proportion of being restless, dissatisfied, because we are constantly being handed messages. And it's not only on our devices, it's every billboard, it's every advertisement, commercial, advertisement in a magazine. It's everything that shows us how life should be, because they're selling us a product. So for example, my favorite example of this, you think about a TV commercial for soap, okay? Now what does soap do? Cleans us, right? Obviously we should try to buy, soap that's as biodegradable and eco-friendly as possible so that we're not polluting our ground and water as we clean our hands. But beyond that, the brands are really all kind of the same. Here we like to buy ones that are made by local women in the villages that help support them as well. But when you see a TV commercial for soap, nobody talks about cleanliness. You see a situation, an ad with, say, a beautiful woman, and she's lathering up in the shower, and she's singing in the morning, in the shower. And then her beautiful husband walks into the bathroom, and he's also singing, and he hands her a towel. And then the two of them walk out of the bathroom together. Their child has miraculously gotten himself out of bed, gotten himself dressed, eaten his breakfast, and the three of them walk out of the house together, hand in hand. And all you see is a little sign right across their happy backs as they're walking into their day that just says, zest, or oil of Olay, or whatever it says. We're not selling cleanliness. We're selling happiness. Look at car commercials, same thing. Are you yearning for freedom? Well, you've got your convertibles or SUVs driving off into the sunset. You yearning for a family? Oh, it's because your car isn't big enough, and we've got these beautiful commercials of, wonderful family SUVs, and the kids in the back are singing together. And you don't have kids. Or you have kids, but your kids try to kill each other in the back seat. And the implication is, well, if you just had this brand of car, then everything would be perfect. So we're being very, very subtly indoctrinated to think there's something wrong with our life and to believe that there is something out there that will fix it. And that's a really important piece of awareness for all of us. And this is where we speak about Gyan Yoga, or Vidya, or just Gyan in general, wisdom, knowledge, that allows us to notice these things and allows us to be aware and allows us to realize, you know what? I don't need to change my brand of soap or car or jeans or mobile because my happiness isn't going to come from that. And then we have the courage to ask ourselves one of my favorite questions. So those of you who know me or who have been coming to satsang for a while, you know that one of my favorite ways of teaching, myself and others, because that which I share, I just practice on myself, is questions. I find that if I berate myself, it doesn't work. Shame is not a good inspiration for change. Not in the workplace, not in families, and not in your own progress. Not in schools. And so I use questions. And one of my favorite questions is, what if there weren't actually a problem here? What if? What if my thought that there is something missing actually were the problem, not the current situation? And again, it's not berating yourself. It's not saying, you're stupid for having this thought. It's just, what if? what would my present situation feel like if I realized, or even just toyed with the idea, that there isn't actually a problem? That, yeah, my life looks different than other people's lives. Maybe it even looks different than I thought it would have looked at some point. But maybe that's not a problem. Maybe this is exactly how it's supposed to be. At least in this moment. Maybe next moment is meant to be different. Maybe there's steps I can take if I really want next moment to be different. But what if this moment actually were exactly the way it was meant to be? And the only problem is your thought that says you're not this enough or that enough. What if that were the only problem? And I have found working with that question to be such an incredible liberator and healer. Because most of the time you goes, oh yeah, I could see how this moment was actually beautiful. If I could just get that voice out of my head that said, what do you mean you don't have a paying job yet? What do you mean you're not settled down yet? What do you mean you're not married yet? What do you mean you don't have kids yet? What do you mean what do you mean you haven't lost the weight yet? What do you mean you haven't this yet? If I could just get that voice out of my head. And then the practice becomes, instead of trying to change the situation around me, the practice becomes to free myself of the voice in my head that is actually the cause of the problem. So I offer that to you as a tool that works very well for me. And what I would say is, if there are specific things in your life that you're able to really pinpoint that you are dissatisfied with, if it's general dissatisfaction, consider yourself well programmed and indoctrinated. Have a bath in Ganga. Work with the mind and free yourself of it. But if there's very specific things, well, you have two choices. One choice is change the thought that tells you it's a problem. The other option is change the situation. There's that beautiful prayer that I love of, oh God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So if what you're dissatisfied about is something you can change, fantastic. Have the courage. Change it. Make a plan. Follow through. Make it happen. Have an accountability buddy. Do whatever you need to do to break that law of inertia, right? We're told by the law of physics, until we're acted upon by an outside force, we're going to stay at rest. So find what that outside force is to get you to act. And if it's not something you can change, well, then work with the thoughts. Have the prayer be not to change the outside, but to change the inside. Yeah, great. Yes, yes.
Hi, my name is Mandy and I'm from the UK. So I'm a bit nervous to ask a question. I don't really know how to ask it, but I'll do my best.
Great.
So I have really pushed myself out of my comfort zone. My children have got to an age now where I've started to find out who I am and not just a mum of two boys. And coming over here is like a massive thing for me, and I'm feeling quite a lot of fear and anxiety. It's just because it's unfamiliar for my day-to-day sort of things that I do. And I'm not sleeping very well, and I'm then worrying about sleeping, and then I'm worrying, am I going to have a good time because I want to do this, and I've had all these dreams about doing this class and that class. And it's like I'm building all these things up in my head, and I suppose my question is, how do I manage that anxiety, that fear, that unfamiliarity, so that I can get the most out of this precious experience that I've been given?
Yeah, wonderful. Okay. So before I get into the nitty-gritties of that, I do want to just mention that if we don't have time to take your question here this evening, I will be leading 2 sessions during the week, separate from the plenaries. One is written as a meditation, the other is written as a satsang. But in both of them, the satsang will be all like this, but even the meditation one will open up for the last 30 minutes or so for questions. So do feel free to come and ask questions there if we don't get to you tonight. Second, for you and for everyone here, I guarantee that the ultimate highest success for you of this week isn't about which classes you take. They're all wonderful. The presenters are wonderful. You won't be able to take all of them. That's our fault. We schedule too much at once. I'm so sorry. I wish there were some way to have more hours in the day. But to the extent that you walk in with the idea that my success and happiness is going to be a product of taking the right classes, you're going to drive yourself batty. And you're going to actually prevent yourself from having the deeper, fuller experience of being here. I also guarantee, without even having checked, that every single person presenting here teaches online as well. It's just the nature of nature these days. Everybody is also online as well. So it's not like it was decades ago when we first started, where it was like, you better get into the class or this is your last opportunity. Here, you miss something. Look them up. Everybody teaches online, everybody teaches all over the world. But even more deeply, you've come here, whether you know it or not, for something much deeper than what you're going to get in individual classes. You've come to be in a holy place, in a land of awakening, of liberation, of enlightenment, of truth. And if you go in with your normal MO of like, gotta get it all done, and then constantly second-guessing yourself. You're in one class and you're thinking, oh my God, I wonder what's going on in the other class. I totally should have taken that other class. Is it going to be rude if I leave in the middle here? Could I get into the other class halfway through? You're neither here nor you're there, nor you're anywhere. Choose from an instinctive, intuitive feeling. Choose from word of mouth, whatever it is. But once you choose, just go and know that that's exactly where you're meant to be. Whatever you get from that moment is exactly what you are meant to get. There are no wrong choices. You're here to get to know your true self. That is what has drawn people to this land for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Make sure to have some time in your day, maybe in the early morning, maybe later in the evening, maybe skipping one of the sessions, whatever it is. But make sure to have some time every day in which you are sitting in silence on the banks of Ganga. At least 15 minutes. The more, the better. I know I should be pushing the classes, but I'm going to push Ganga instead. Classes are going to be full anyway. Make sure you don't miss Ganga. Find some time and just sit and let the Mother Goddess speak to you. It is a land that draws sages, saints, yogis, rishis, with concerns much deeper on a soul level than what class am I going to take. This is the land that gives the answers to all of it. So it'll answer your logistic questions, but let it also answer the deep questions within you. And in terms of this sense of sharing your true self with your children, it's never easy. Especially with children, but otherwise with anyone. There's always fear. What if they don't like who I really am? But I'll tell you, for your children, you being honest about whatever it is that now you're sharing with them about who their mom really is the best gift you can give them. That doesn't mean that they may not have different reactions to it in the beginning. But in the long run, what you've taught them is be true to yourself even when it's risky. Be true to yourself even when you don't know how people are going to respond. And that is the best life lesson you can give them. Because if you hold on to your true self, what you're teaching them is the same thing. Don't show anyone who you are, because then you might get rejected. Then they may not love you. Let them know. Let them know that it's a little bit scary to share because you don't know how they're going to respond. But you need them to know the truth because you love them. And you want them to know the truth. And because you know that the truth is divine and sacred and wonderful. There is nothing you could tell them. Even if it's a mistake you made. Even if the truth is, when you were babies, I used to leave you home alone and go out and get drunk, and I feel really bad, and thank God God saved you and you guys were okay. I mean, whatever it may be. I'm not saying you have to necessarily, tell them all this stuff, but whatever it is that you've shared with them, you need to know that you're sharing it from a place of divinity and wholeness and self-love. And that whatever mistakes maybe you made, whatever maybe you didn't share, doesn't make you any less divine, full, whole, complete, perfect. And that's what they learn for their lives. Because we all have things that we feel like, oh God, if people knew that, then they wouldn't like me. And it teaches your kids who you are is full, is whole, is divine, is exactly the way that you are meant to be. And you're mirroring that for them and modeling that for them. And it's the best gift you can give them. And then give them the space to respond how they want to respond. Let them ask whatever questions they want to ask. Give them that spaciousness. Yeah, beautiful. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. A beautiful week for those of you in the festival and those of you not in the festival. I look so forward to spending the next week with so many of you and to seeing many of you back here on the 16th. And so much love to all of you.
Thank you so much, Pujya Sadhviji, for your beautiful wisdom. as Sadhviji said, there's no evening satsang during the festival because there's lots of very special programs on the Ghat in the evening. You'll have your opportunities to ask Sadhviji questions on the 10th and the 13th in satsang. Beyond the festival, we'd love for you to stay connected. Every night we live stream satsang on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook, so you can find it by searching at Sadhviji.